in the studio.
Most welcome.
There have been plenty of allegations that Morgan Tsvangirai has said that the elections were rigged. How serious are these allegations?
I think they're quite serious, but it's just a matter of time that the entire process should be given enough time, and one sincerely hope that the opposition, all grieved parties, have credible proof that there are problems here and there, to ensure that they take it within the Zimbabwean law in terms of the process of appeal and rigorous look into those allegations and come up with a fair answer. But I think what is important before we say even anything else is that these elections should and must be put in a context in which 2008 was violent, instability in the country, and this time around the conditions has quite changed. I think the international community has agreed that it was peaceful. However, the perfect nature of elections, it's something else that with time I think we're getting to grips to real issues taking place on the ground.
I think one of the real problems were that the voters' roll was only released 24 hours before voting. If that was such a big problem, why did Morgan Tsvangirai not stop the elections, in your opinion? Why did he not say, I mean, it was within his power? These
are kind of questions that we really have no answers on, that both parties, ZANU-PF and MDC, we should also remember that this is not a party in power and an opposition outside power. These were two parties sharing power in Zimbabwe, and we should always remember that fact. I think they should have had enough time to deal with those outstanding issues, such as the timing of release of the registrar and quite a number of other logisticals, given the fact that this election somehow and legitimate concerns came, that they came a bit earlier than they had prepared themselves.
We're always talking about ZANU-PF and the MDC. Who are the other political candidates in these elections?
I think there are quite a number of splinter groups within MDC. You have the Mr. Walshman Ncube, and you have quite a number of other in the ZANU Ndonga. You have the Arthur Mtambara group, and all this smaller group, I mean small and to some extent some of them insignificant. However, they might be influential in terms of deciding if ZANU-PF and MDC come with 50-50, for instance. They might with small numbers in terms of deciding which group wins, whether they join the ZANU-PF or they go with MDC Tsvangirai.
Now that you're talking about joining, do you think there's any possibility of either Mugabe or Tsvangirai forming a coalition with any of these groups?
Chances are quite high. We really don't know. All what we hear are rumors, and one cannot really give good analysis based on hearsay. I think it's just a question of waiting as more and more results are released, and based on the entire totality of all results. And we should not forget that these are harmonized elections. What it means is they have local, they have parliamentary, as well as a presidential. So it's a bit tedious work on the ground. I'm quite aware what happened behind the scene as a former observer myself, and I can tell you there's a lot of work being done as we speak, and one is expecting the best in terms of a peaceful outcome. Whether it's going to be free and fair, it's something that we have to talk after the results are all out.
Mr. Monyae, one last question from me. I think that Morgan Tsvangirai now has lost 3 elections to Mugabe in a row. Do you think he's likely to be replaced as the leader of the MDC?
I think what we hear on the ground is that there are a lot of grumblings and unhappiness within the MDC itself. And I think there is no doubt that they'll take their case within the party and deal with issues of leadership. The last time they called for a conference to elect a leader, it didn't take place. And I think it's high time, as much as we all blame President Robert Mugabe for staying too long in power, equally so, I think we should also say more about opposition leaders. Some of them are ineffective. Mr. Tsvangirai, in my personal view, hasn't been been that effective in terms of rallying forces on the ground. I think he did much more of the international diplomacy part, but I'm not quite sure if he was effective when he came to mobilize support on the ground, particularly the last 3 years that he has been in power.
Is there anyone within the party that you would earmark who stands out, who you think could succeed in?
I think there are quite a number of capable, able leaders within MDC, but the one that comes quite strongly is Tendai Biti, the current Minister of Finance. I think his chances are very high, but you never know. There might be more groups within MDC that might not even agree with him. He's much more radical. The Deputy Prime Minister, she's also very capable, and one will expect an organized MDC that have an electoral conference to decide important issues, particularly mopping out what went right and what went wrong throughout the last 3-4 years.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mr. Monyae, for coming in. That's independent political analyst David Monyae, giving us some of his precious time here in our studio. Thank you.